guys, what's up? Welcome back. So in today's video, we're going to be doing my Best in Beauty 2018 high-end edition. So I just did my drugstore edition about a week ago. I will have that video down below if you guys missed that one. But in today's video, we're going to be talking about all of my favorite products of 2018 that are high-end. So I wouldn't consider most of these as like high-end. They are kind of sort of affordable, but they're pretty much from Sephora, so they're obviously not drugstore products. But you know, I have a few luxury products in today's video, as well as some products that are high-end. So yeah, I'm super excited to share all of my favorites of the year. It was really hard to choose my high-end favorites for the year of 2018. I realized when I was picking these out of my collection, I realized I was actually using more drugstore, and I actually loved more drugstore products than I did high-end for the year of 2018. So it was really hard to choose all of the products that I have in front of me to share with you guys. But I finally narrowed it down, and all of the products that I chose were products that were my holy grail products of 2018. So yeah, I'm super excited to share these with you guys. So if you guys are interested in seeing my Best in Beauty high-end edition, then let's go ahead and Then let's go ahead and jump right in. I was about to say, then let's go ahead and drugstore. What the crap? Let's go ahead and jump right in. Okay, so I always start out with skincare, so that is what we're gonna do for today. So I wanna start out by talking about a cleanser that is, I would say, a luxury cleanser because it is pretty pricey, and it is the Tata Harper Clarifying Cleanser. Y'all, this is my second bottle, and I have raved about this quite a few times on my channel. You guys know I featured this in my Sephora hauls when they were doing like the Sephora VIB sales. I purchased this twice, and I'm already almost out of this second bottle, so I will be repurchasing another one. The reason why I love this cleanser so much is because it actually works. Like, I actually see results from a cleanser, and that's something I never really see when I'm using like a cleanser, because you know, when you think about a cleanser, you're thinking about something that's just gonna wash your face, like wash the makeup off, clean your face and stuff. You don't really think about it showing results on your skin, and this literally shows, like, it shows results on my skin. So this is a cleanser that's supposed to help with blemished skin, or if you have dark spots or breakouts, this is going to help with that. Now, I know even though it works for me, it may not work for, you know, some people. I know that's with a lot of skincare products. So whatever works for me, it may not work for you, but obviously I wanted to share it in today's video because it has been my favorite of 2018, and that is because it works. So this really does a great job with clearing my skin. I usually get breakouts around that time of the month, and when I get those breakouts, they're huge. Like, they're like at least 2 or 3 pimples on my face. I'll get those, but when I use this, I notice I don't even get not one breakout during that time of the month. So this does a great job with keeping the breakouts away, which I am so freaking glad I found a cleanser that actually works for my skin, that not only cleans my skin, but as well as you know, helps my skin. So this has really been a lifesaver. And not only this, also another product that I've been using, it's really not high-end, but it's a product that I did share in my December favorites. I don't know if that's already up or not, but I did share that product in my December favorites. If it is up, I will have that video down below. And it's not real, I wouldn't consider it high-end, but this by far is the best cleanser that I have tried for the year of 2018, and I will repurchase it, and I won't feel bad about it because this actually works for my skin. So if you are struggling with breakouts, or if you have blemished skin, definitely try this out. I don't know if they'll have like samples inside Sephora, but if they do have a sample of this cleanser, I would highly recommend getting some of that, taking it home, and trying it out for yourself. So yeah, again, this is the Tata Harper Clarifying Cleanser, and I had to talk about it. All right, so let's talk about a couple of moisturizers. I only have 2 to share because when it comes down to moisturizers, even cleansers, I pretty much lean towards more drugstore. But if I really had to choose my favorite high-end products, I would choose definitely for sure the one by Korres. This is the Korres 24-hour moisturizer. I have talked about this brand so freaking much on my channel. Every time Sephora has a sale, I'm always stocking up on my favorite products from Korres. And this is one of my favorite ones. This is, like I said, the 24-hour hydrating moisturizer. Now, they have a night and a day one. My favorite one is the day one because it's it's not as thick as the night one, and it also wears perfectly under my foundation. So this one is the one, it's the daytime moisturizer. So this moisturizer does have vitamin C in it, and it is a brightening moisturizer. So if you're looking for one of those really lightweight moisturizers that's going to make your skin look more, more awake, more radiant, this is definitely one of those. And I'll go ahead and show you guys how lightweight it is. So it does have that white color, but when you blend it out, it is so lightweight and thin, and it smells so good. It smells fresh. It's not one of those strong smelling moisturizers that's just gonna linger on the face all day long. So the scent does kind of drift away. So if you're not into scented moisturizers, or if you're not into moisturizers that are gonna have that, you know, really strong scent, then I'm pretty sure you'll like this, because this does not linger on the face. So this is a good one. Also, the Tata Harper water cream. Now this one I purchased, I believe it was about the middle of this year. I think it was actually in August, I believe. But anyway, when I purchased it, it was during the sale, and I've always been wanting to try this out. I've actually tried it out though. I tried it out in Sephora. It was earlier this year. I think it was towards the beginning of the year, and I took home a sample and I loved it. And I just didn't want to spend that much money on a moisturizer. So when Sephora had the sale, I obviously had to get it. This actually came in a set. So it had this, the primer, and a cleanser. So I thought that was a good, you know, a good deal to get, since I had 3 different products in one. So this was a full size in that set, and I like this moisturizer because, like the one by Korres, this one is also lightweight, but this one is a little bit more than the one by Korres. This literally feels like you're rubbing your skin with water, but at the same time it gives you that nice moisturized, like it's so refreshing and just moisturizing, but at the same time it's super thin. So this one, just like the Korres, you know, it looks like this, but when you rub it in the skin, it feels like you're rubbing your skin with water. Like it just is so thin, and it wears perfectly under my makeup, which is another reason why I like this moisturizer. Like if a moisturizer wears great under my makeup to where it doesn't look like it's too dewy or too greasy, I love it. So this is definitely one of those moisturizers that's gonna wear really nicely under your makeup. And when I say under my makeup, I know I've actually had quite a few of you ask me what are my steps when I'm using moisturizers. Like, do I put it on top of my primer or under my primer? And the answer to that is I usually put my, I always put my moisturizers on before I apply my primers. So yeah. And speaking of primers, I have 3 primers that I have been going through and loving all year long. One of them, well, 2 of them are actually kind of new to me, but I did try these out. I think it was about the middle of this year, but I love them. And the first one I want to talk about is one that is not going to come as a surprise. I feel like I mentioned this primer in every one of my Best in Beauty videos, but I just have to mention it because it is my favorite primer out of all primers, and that is the Too Faced Hangover Primer. This is one of those primers that if you don't want to wear a moisturizer, you can just use this and then apply your foundation and you're good to go. It's lightweight, it's hydrating, and it just makes my foundation wear so much longer on the skin, and it just makes everything look very natural and just nice and radiant, but at the same time not too radiant. So this is definitely a good hydrating primer if you want to use like a mattifying foundation or anything else that's mattifying on the face. If you're needing that extra hydration, but at the same time not too much of a hydration, this is a primer that you need to try out. Now, I don't want to spend too much time talking about this because a lot of you already know my reasons of why I like this primer. I do have a separate video on all of my favorite primers. I will try to find that video and have it linked down below. I believe I mentioned this one. I believe it was a drugstore primer video. I honestly can't remember, but I will try to find that video and have it linked down below. So I don't want to spend too much time talking about this primer, but had to mention it in today's video because you guys know I love this primer. So that is that one. So next is the one by Tatcha, and this is the Silk Canvas. I did get this one in the little Tatcha set that I was talking about a few minutes ago. So this came with the moisturizer as well as a cleanser, and this is a primer that's good to smooth out your skin before you apply your makeup. So if you have large pores or if you have a lot of texture, usually I'll get texture in this area and also around this area. area. So if I want to take that extra step with smoothing out my skin even more, I will use this, and this has been really, really good. And I believe this is probably the most hyped up primer for 2018. I swear so many people have been talking about it, and the first time I tried it out was when I went in Sephora just to get a sample of it. I was not gonna spend the full price on this primer because this is a pretty pricey primer. So I went in Sephora and I got a sample and I loved it. And then when I saw that this came in like a little gift set, I snatched it up and I got it. So definitely been loving this. And I also have been loving the Smashbox Primerizer. This really reminds me of the Too Faced Hangover primer, but it's not as, what's the word? It's not as thick as the Too Faced Hangover primer. Now, I don't want to say the Too Faced primer is thick because it's definitely not, but this is more of a watery, more liquidy feel, but it's perfect as a moisturizer and a primer, which is why I guess they call it the primerizer. So I don't even wear moisturizers when I'm wearing this. I also don't wear a moisturizer when I'm wearing my Too Faced Hangover primer because both of these are just as hydrating. And just like the Too Faced Hangover primer, it just makes my makeup look so nice on the skin all day long, makes it look fresh. And now that I'm talking about this one, this is actually the one that I have on my face right now under my makeup. So definitely been loving this one. All right, now let's go ahead and talk about some makeup, and then at the end we'll talk about some setting sprays. But let's talk about some foundations. I picked out only 2 foundations that I felt like were my my favorite ones out of the whole entire year. And this was really hard because, like I said earlier in the video, I've actually been using more drugstore and just been loving more drugstore products than I have high-end products. But when I was going through my drawers, I was, you know, just searching through the foundations, and I had to pick out only 2 because these are the only 2 that I felt like I used the most this year, as well as been loving the most this year, that are high end. So the first one I want to talk about is the NARS, and this is the Luminous. I always get the name so wrong because you guys know they have a NARS Luminous Weightless Foundation, but this one is the NARS Natural Radiant Foundation, and this is the one that I've been reaching for the most this year. Now, if you have been watching my channel for ever since day one, you guys know my favorite NARS foundation is the Sheer Glow. I haven't reached for it this year because, for one, the one that I had in my collection, which you probably already saw when I was doing my foundation declutter, that one was old, it had turned colors, and I just never really found the time to purchase another one. So I've actually been reaching for this one more, and I love the finish of this foundation. And it just gives you that natural radiant look, pretty much like what it says. It's a natural radiant longwear foundation, but it literally gives you what it says on the bottle, natural radiant look. And I like how this wears all day on my skin without it caking up, without it separating. It's just a beautiful foundation, and I am in the shade Macao, for those of you who are wondering. And the next one that I've been reaching for a lot this year, if I'm not reaching for a drugstore foundation, is the Too Faced Born This Way foundation. I've actually been using this so much more than I did in the past because they did come out with new shades. If you guys are living under a rock, Jackie Aina did collab with Too Faced to curate more shades in this foundation, and I am in the shade Chai. I did a full review on this if you guys want to see it. I mean, I will try to find it. It's been a while, but I will try to find that video and have it linked down below for you guys. But yeah, I did a full review. You guys will see it, you know, applied on the skin, all of that good stuff. But this is one of those really natural looking foundations. Like, when you apply it on the skin, it looks like skin. It looks like skin. When I tell you, you guys have to watch that video if you guys missed it. But like I said, I'll try to find it, have it linked down below for you guys. But this is a good natural looking foundation, and I feel like I can wear this one all year round, no matter if it's summertime, springtime, fall time. It looks and just wears on the skin beautifully all day long, no matter what the weather is, because it's just a perfect natural looking foundation that I could just rock all year long. So again, this is in the shade Chai. All right, so when it comes down to concealers, I believe this was probably the easiest one for me to choose because this is actually a concealer I have been using non-stop ever since it came out this year, and that is the Too Faced Super Coverage, what is it called? The Multi-Use Sculpting Concealer. I feel like it has 2 different names. It's the Born This Way Multi-Use Sculpting Concealer, and it's also called the Super Coverage Concealer. But I am in the shade Chestnut, and I use this shade to highlight under my eyes. And I also use this shade, what is that shade? I think it's no, what is the shade? Yeah, so I use the shade Toffee to spot conceal, and I've actually had a few of you ask me what do I mean when I say spot conceal, because I tend to say that a lot in my videos. But when I say spot conceal, I mean when I'm concealing my dark spots on my skin. So with that, I'll use a concealer that's pretty much the same color as my skin tone, like my foundation shade. So I'll use the Toffee shade in this concealer to apply on my dark spots, and then I'll blend it out. And if I want to use a foundation on top of that, I will. Or there are days when I don't even use a foundation. I'll just throw on like a foundation powder. So those are the days where I just wear minimal makeup. But yeah, I use Chestnut as my under eye concealer, and I like this because this is going to give you that full coverage. You don't have to use a lot of this product because a little bit goes a very long way, and it also does not crease under my eyes. So I have been loving this ever since they came out with this year, and I have not put it down. This is actually the second one that I've gone through. But yeah, definitely been loving this concealer. So let's talk about some powders, and I have 4 to share. One is an all over foundation powder, which is not gonna come as a surprise. It's not drugstore, it's not high end, it's kind of affordable, but you get it from Sephora, and it is the Sephora Microsmooth Baked Face Compact. I've talked about this non-freaking stop on my channel. I feel like this is the only powder that I have been using, that I have been reaching for all year long, if not one from the drugstore that I've been trying out. And the ones from the drugstore I haven't really had any luck with using because they're either too gray, too light, too orange. But there is only one from the drugstore. I think I mentioned it in my drugstore. Did I mention it in my drugstore Best in Beauty? I don't think I did. I don't know why I didn't, but it is the one by NYX. It is the NYX No Filter powder foundation. I believe I did mention it, but that's the only one from the drugstore that works for me, that doesn't look too gray. It doesn't look too, too light, too dark, and that is in the shade Deep Golden. But I use the shade Deep Ebony in the Sephora Microsmooth powder. This is going to make everything come together on the face. Like, it is so freaking beautiful on the skin. It just makes it look so much more, I don't know how to describe it. I have it on right now. I have it on in pretty much all of my videos that I film, all of the tutorials that I do that's not drugstore. I'm using this, and I just cannot get enough of this. I have gone through, I think, 3 of these already. I have 3 in my backup drawer in the back, and I just feel like I will never get enough of this. But yeah, again, this is the Sephora Microsmooth Baked Face Compact, and the shade that I use is Deep Ebony. Now let's talk about some setting powders, and I have 3 of those. What is that on my lip? Okay, I have 3 setting powders to talk about, and one that is a luxury setting powder is this one by Marc Jacobs. I think I've mentioned this a couple of times this year in like some favorites videos, but hands down, if I had to pick one high-end bougie setting powder, it would definitely be this one by Marc Jacobs. This is their coconut, well, it's called the Finish Line coconut setting powder. There are like a lot of reasons why I like this. For one, it does not leave that white cast. Like, if you're gonna take a picture, sometimes you'll see that white ghostly cast on your face. This does not do that. And another reason why I like this is because it keeps my concealer in place all day long, just like just like 2 of the other powders that I'm going to talk to you guys in a minute about. But this will literally keep your concealer in place. And another reason why I like it is because it's not like a mattifying setting powder, but at the same time it's not like a luminous. It's kind of like in between. It's not too matte, it's not too luminous or silky, or I don't even know how to describe it, but it's just that perfect medium in between finish. It does come in one shade, but this is a translucent color, so it's not gonna look too ghostly on the skin. Another reason why I like it is because of the packaging, and I know a lot of people don't really like this type of packaging, but I feel like if all of my setting powders were like this, I would love them even more. And the reason why is because it's not as messy. It does have like a little film right here, so you just place your brush or your beauty sponge right there. And the way that I get most of the product out is I'll turn it upside down like this, kind of shake it up, and then when you open it up, it doesn't go flying everywhere because it's still right there in the center. So you'll just take your brush, dip it right there, and then apply it on the skin. So Love this stuff. All right, so the next two powders, I have one that y'all already know which one I'm about to talk about, but I had to mention it in today's video because I feel like it's only right, and I feel like it's just one of the best ones of 2018, 2017. Did they come out 2016? I don't know, but it's just bomb. And that is the one by Too Faced. This is the Too Faced Peach Perfect Setting Powder. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about it because y'all already know my feelings about this. Like, this, hands down, is probably one of the best powders that I have tried from Too Faced, even though they had two, I believe. But I like this one more than the Born This Way. And the reason why is because it keeps my concealer in place all day. It does not allow my concealer to crease. And it does not give me flashback, and it just makes everything look so smooth and airbrushed on the skin. So this is definitely good. Now, this is a mattifying setting powder, so if you're wanting to have a setting powder that's going to keep your face matte, like if you have oily skin, I highly recommend this. Now, my skin is normal to oily. I do have an oily T-zone, and I like this because it keeps everything, like, it just makes my T-zone look fresh all day long. This is definitely a good mattifying powder. So like I said, I don't want to spend too much time talking about it because you guys already, well, most of you already know my thoughts on this, and I love it, but I had to mention it in today's video. All right, so this last setting powder I want to talk about is actually one that came out this year, and I feel like this was probably the only one I need to mention in today's video, but I wanted to mention the other two because they're my all-time favorites, and I feel like they're the ones that I use the most of 2018 that are high-end. But anyway, the one that I want to talk about next is by Pretty Vlgar. This is the translucent setting powder. Now, this one is kind of similar to the Too Faced Peach Perfect. The main differences I would have to say between the two is the color. The Too Faced Peach Perfect is kind of like a pinky peachy color, but when I apply it on the skin, it doesn't really, it doesn't really look too bad. But the one by Pretty Vlgar, this one is translucent, so this is more of a kind of like a white, eggshell white color, but they're both a nice mattifying setting powder. So this one, just like the Peach Perfect, is going to keep my concealer in place. It's not going to allow it to crease, and this one also does not give me flashbacks. So all of the setting powders that I've mentioned, I have tried out with, like, I have tried my camera, like taking pictures with it, and I just noticed that it does not give me that white cast. So that is another reason why I like that one. And you don't really come across a lot of setting powders that's going to not give you that white cast when you take pictures. But yeah, those are all of the setting powders I had to talk about that were my go-tos, favorites, high-ends of 2018. Now let's talk about some bronzers, and I only have two to mention. These are actually the only two that I have been touching all year long if I'm going to use a high-end bronzer. So one of them is by Anastasia. This is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Mahogany bronzer, and I think I did a review on this. I did a review on this bronzer, so if I can try to, like, if I can find that review, I'll try to remember to have it linked down below. And I just want to go ahead and say, anytime that you guys want to see like a review from me, you can always type in, like, the search bar on YouTube. You can type in Andrea Renee. Like, for instance, I had a lot of you asking me about the Wet n Wild foundation when I did my Wet n Wild, not my Wet n Wild, but my foundation declutter video. Some of you were asking me, like, what shade I was in a foundation, and you can always search, like, on YouTube, just type in Andrea Renee and Wet n Wild foundation, or Andrea Renee Anastasia Beverly Hills. Those keywords will pop up my videos. So if there's a video on that particular product, you'll see it. But just wanted to kind of throw that out. But yeah, this is the Anastasia Beverly Hills bronzer in the shade Mahogany, which is the perfect shade. I love this bronzer because it is so beautiful on my skin. It's warm, it's not too gray, it's just the perfect color. And I feel like they did an amazing job with this bronzer because it does, for one, match my skin tone, and it does look really nice on the skin. It's not too gray, like I said, and it's just a perfect warm bronzer. I believe this is actually the darkest shade, but one thing about these bronzers is you can actually build it up. So a little bit of this is going to go a long way, but if you want it to look a little bit more deeper on the skin, you can actually build it up to get that color. So definitely been loving that. Another one is by Bobbi Brown. I believe I've actually mentioned this bronzer in a favorites video probably twice this year. I've actually mentioned this bronzer in my Best in Beauty last year, I believe, but I had to mention it in today's video because for one, it is a luxury bronzer. It is my favorite, well, one of my favorite luxury bronzers in my collection, even though Anastasia is not really luxury, but it is kind of like high-end. But this one is a luxury product and I had to mention it. This is in the shade Deep 4. Okay, let me just say, when you see this in Sephora, you'll think, okay, this is way too light, and that's what I thought at first. But when I apply it on my skin, it literally gets darker. I don't know what it is. I'm actually almost about to hit pan in this product because that is how much I've used it this year. But this is the darkest shade, and like I said, don't think it's too light for you when you see it in Sephora because it does look a little light. Even on camera, I feel like it looks a little too light, but when I apply it on my skin, it looks dark. Like, it is the perfect color for me as a bronzer. It is so beautiful. This one is a little bit more cooler than the one by Anastasia, but at the same time, it still looks really good on the skin. So definitely been loving this. All right, so let's talk about some blushes. I don't really dip into a lot of like high-end blushes. I usually use my ones from the drugstore, which are my Milani blushes, my e.l.f. blushes. You guys already know I love those. But if I had to choose one high-end blush out of my entire collection that I have been loving this whole entire year, I believe this one actually came out towards the beginning of this year, I would have to say the one by Bareminerals. This is their Gin Nude Blush in the shade But First Coffee. This is the most beautiful color. It's kind of similar to the Becca Maui Nights bronzer, but I feel like it's a little bit more deeper than that. But it is the most beautiful color. You can use it as a blush, you can use it as a bronzer, but I love to use this as a blush, and it is so pretty. It does have a little bitty tiny shimmer in it, but you cannot see it when you apply it on their face. It's kind of like a matte. It's really like a matte blush. A little bit of this will go a very long way. Let me go ahead and swatch it for you guys. But this is what it looks like swatched. It is a really pretty, it's kind of like a mauve slash terracotta color. It is gorgeous. So pretty, and I love the formula of these blushes. I think they did a really good job with this. They have another shade that I feel like is perfect for deeper skin tones, but the other shades that they have are a little bit too light, but this one is bomb. Again, this is in the shade But First Coffee. But this was definitely one of the blushes that I have been using this year that is high-end, that I felt like was one of my favorites, so I had to mention it. All right, now on to the highlighters, and I only want to mention 2 of them because I didn't really want to go crazy for this portion of the video, because I have tried out and used and just been loving a lot of highlighters this year. But if I had to choose the best highlighters that came out this year that I could not put down, I would have to choose the one by Becca and one by Dose of Colors. So this one by Becca is the Chocolate Geode, and I think this is the best color for deeper skin tones that they came out with this year. It is the most beautiful bronzy golden color. It is perfect for deeper skin tones. So if you don't have this, definitely get your hands on it. I'll go ahead and swatch it for you guys, but I fell in love with this highlighter. I could not put it down. It is the most beautiful bronze gold. It is so pretty. Like, it's just pretty. Like, it just speaks for itself. Even the formula of the Becca highlighters, like, they have some of the best highlighters. Like, the formula is so creamy and smooth. It does not accentuate texture on your face, so if you do have texture, it's not gonna really accentuate it, but I love them. So this one is definitely one that you definitely should pick up if you have a deeper skin tone. Another one is a one that I tried out this year, which is by Dose of Colors, and this is in the shade Royal Hotness. This is just like, I don't want to say just like, but it's kind of similar to Chocolate Geode, but again, another beautiful, deep, bronzy, golden color for deeper skin tones. And I love these types of colors when it comes down to highlighters. Like, they are so pretty on the skin. Let me go ahead and swatch this one. It is gorgeous. Look at that. This one actually gives you more of a glow than the one by Becca, but they are both the most beautiful gold highlighters. So pretty. But yeah, those are definitely the ones that I felt like were the best this year. All right, so we're finally down to the palettes, and I picked out 3 eyeshadow palettes that I felt like were the ones that I literally dipped into not all year, but the most this year that were kind of sort of on the high end side if they're not drugstore. And I also have a palette that has a blush, highlighter, and bronzer that I felt like was the best face palette of the year. So let's talk about that one first. So that one is by Sephora. This is the Spiced Market palette. I think, did this one come out this year? I honestly can't remember, but I have mentioned this one a lot towards the beginning. I think it was towards the beginning of this year, the middle of this year, but this is one that I have raved about nonstop, and I feel like this is the best like all around palette when it comes down to highlighter, blush, and bronzer if you have deeper skin tones. So this one is again the Spice Market, and this one is really a blush palette, well, a blush and highlighter palette, but this color in here right here, this one right here, is the perfect shade to use as a bronzer. So if you have a deeper complexion and you want a palette that has a bronzer, blush, as well as highlighter, this is definitely going to be a good palette for you. So you have well, I would consider these the blushes. I would consider these two well, 3 blushes, a highlighter, and then, well, these 2 are highlighters. Girl, you can use these however you want, but I use the blush right here as a bronzer. I use this color as my blush. I also kind of dip into the orange, kind of mix these 2 together. And then as a blush topper, so if you want something that just to kind of go over your blush to kind of give you that, that glow, I use this color right here. As my highlighter, I'll use this one, and as like my inner corner highlight for my eyes, I'll use this color. So this is a really good face palette that I have been dipping into a lot this year, and I feel like it's one of the best ones in my collection for the year of 2018. That's kind of like high end, so yeah. All right, so now let's talk about the eyeshadow palettes, and these are the 3 palettes that I felt like were my go-to palettes this year if I wasn't using anything that were like that was drugstore. So 2 of them are the KKW Beauty palettes. You guys already know this was coming. If you watch my videos, you already know this was gonna make it into my favorites video of the year of 2018. Ever since I tried these out this year, I cannot put them down. So the first one I tried was the Classic, and this was my go-to palette. Like when I'm doing makeup for work, when I'm doing makeup before I film videos, this was a palette that I dipped into. These 2 colors right here are actually the ones that I dipped into the most. But when I wanted to go for something very soft and natural looking, not too much, like not too deep, I would dip into this shade right here. The metallics in here are so buttery smooth. I feel like this was my everyday palette of the year. Like, you know how you have those palettes where you feel like that was like, that's the palette. That's the palette that I'll go to if I don't have any palettes in my collection. Like if I need to go for a very soft, natural look or a very smoky look, that's the palette. And I feel like this was it. I mean, the formula of the shadows is so easy to blend. They're pigmented, they're not patchy, and they also wear on the eyes all day. Like you don't see them fading away. So this is a really good palette. I don't even prime my lids. Like when I'm doing eyeshadow, I usually just apply a little bit of concealer on the lid. I don't use like any eyeshadow primers or anything like that. But this is a good long-lasting shadow. So definitely been loving this one, as well as the one which is the Cherry Blossom. This is the one that I would reach for if I want to go for kind of like a look that I have on today. Y'all, I just cannot say enough about these. I think they did a really good job with this palette. And to be honest with you guys, I did not think I would like the KKW palettes. Like I honestly didn't think I would purchase anything from the brand because I'm kind of over Kylie Cosmetics and Like I'm kind of over the Kardashians in general as far as like their products. But these are good. All right, so if I had to choose the best palette of the year that was the best like colorful palette, I would definitely choose the one by Urban Decay. They did such a good job with this. This is the Born to Run eyeshadow palette, and when I say this is probably their best palette that they have ever created. They did so good with this. I really want them to come out with more palettes like this, but maybe like an all warm palette or a cool tone palette for those of you who like cool tones. But I really like how they came out with this. I like the shades. The shades are so easy to blend. They're pigmented and they just work really well on the eye. So they did an amazing job with this. I did do a review and tutorial on this, so if I can find it, I'll try to have it down below. But remember what I said earlier, if you guys are wanting to see any reviews from me, you can definitely go to the YouTube search bar, type in Andrea Renee, and if I have a review on that product, you can just type in that product and it'll come up. So yeah. All right, so when it comes down to brow products, mascaras, eyeliners, honestly and truly, I use a lot of drugstore products for this year. And if I had to choose the best, like, high-end product mascara, I would definitely say the one by Hourglass. This is the Caution Mascara. I've talked about this quite a few times on my channel. This is probably the best one that came out this year that I have repurchased. I tried this out about, what was it? I think 3 months back, I believe. It came out before the holidays, I do know, but ever since I tried it out, I could not put it down, and I went ahead and purchased another one during the Sephora sale. But I really like this mascara. I like how it just makes my lashes look longer. I do have really, really, really tiny lashes. This does a great job with lengthening my lashes, and it also doesn't clump up, so it does great with separating the lashes and just making them look longer. So this is definitely one that I have been loving this year. And like I said, I've been using more drugstore brow and eyeliner products, but if I had to choose the best high-end, I would definitely say the one by Benefit. This is the Precisely My Brow. This is the one that I used so freaking much. I would purchase this over and over and over and over again. And this was before I was introduced to the CoverGirl brow pencil, which you guys know I cannot get enough of. I honestly don't see myself using any more like high-end brow products since I've been introduced to the one by CoverGirl, because that is just as good as the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz, and it's just as good as the Benefit Precisely My Brow. But this one is in the shade 5 for those of you who are wondering. But it's super, super skinny, which is perfect for defining your brows, and it does come with a little spoolie at the other end. So this is definitely my favorite one that is like a high-end brow product. I'm not going to talk about any eyeliners because I'm always using the ones by Essence, which is drugstore, so there's no reason for me to you know, talk about a high-end eyeliner because I haven't really been using them this year. So we're going to skip over that. So the very last two products I have to share are actually facial sprays. One is a setting spray, and the other one is one like kind of like a primer spray that I use before I do my makeup. So the setting spray I want to talk about is by Urban Decay. This is the All Nighter setting spray. This one did not come out this year, but this was the one that I would reach for the most that was high-end for this year, and that is again the All Nighter setting spray. This is going to allow your makeup to stay in place all day long. So if you are working a long day, or if you just have a long day in general and you want your makeup to last, definitely spray your face with a setting spray once you get done doing your makeup. And this just does a great job with just making my makeup last all day long. So this is definitely one that I've been reaching for that is high-end for the year of 2018. And then this last one is a primer spray. Now this one is actually one that came out last year, I believe, but I just tried it out this year, and ever since I tried it out, I cannot put it down. That is the one by Too Faced. This is the Too Faced Hangover Primer Spray. Y'all, when I tell you, this has been everything. I like to use this just to kind of freshen up my face before I apply my makeup. So if my face feels a little dry or just kind of dull, I like to use this before I blend out my foundation. So I'll go in with my moisturizer and then my primer, and then I'll go on top of that with this, and then I'll go on top of that with my foundation. And I just feel like it makes my foundation blend out so much better. And I also like to use this after my makeup on days when I feel like my makeup looks too powdery or too dry. This does a great job just to kind of give you that extra hydration on the face. So definitely been loving this. Woo! I think we're finally done, you guys. I know this video is super long, but we are finally done with my Best in Beauty high-end edition. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys have tried out anything that I shared, anything that you are wanting to try out in the video that I have shared, let me know. Let's go ahead and chit chat about it down below in the comments. And yeah, I think that is all that I have. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you thumbs it up. Make sure you are subscribed if you're not subscribed already, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.